possibly more effect with parents than with children, because you don't obviously read all 7 stories at once. So it gives the children and the parents time to think it through, and in between reading the stories, they're going to be taking a look at the other material, and there you are. It is really, really strange. Actually, we have a case. There is a case in the book which the names have been changed to protect the innocent, but it is actually our family.
You just gave that away.
I gave that away, yeah. But I mean, your listeners don't know us. Yeah. But anyway, not that it matters. It's a true story. So there's this little boy who is by the age of, when was it? Maybe, but from the age of 4 onwards, he became obsessed by the Titanic. And you give him 20 sheets of paper and a stapler. You go away and prepare the lunch. You come back, there'd be a full size. You'd have a sort of a model of the Titanic, sort of about 3 feet long, complete in every detail, including the watertight compartments inside. And so he started off with paper, then he went on with cardboard, and he sank about 4 or 5 Titanics in our swimming pool. And then he made one of wood, etc. And he was always talking about Titanic, and then when he must have been about 6, we took him to Zurich because there was an exhibition of the Titanic exploration. I don't know. Anyway, but it had lots of artifacts that had been brought up from the ship, and in the entrance there was a huge photo of passengers on the deck of the Titanic as it left Southampton on its fateful voyage on the 10th of April 1912. And he went straight to the photo and picked out one of the people, and he says, "That was me." And
wow, that would be scary right there.
Yeah, well, it didn't really surprise us because he had created this myth about Titanic, etc. And he didn't. I mean, at the time, I've always been interested by the subject. At the time, I was busy with my copywriting activities and stuff, and all of that had gone a bit into the background. But I was still aware or awake enough to realize that it was quite possibly true. But okay, fine, you were on the Titanic, great. And so, but then he looks around with confidence and said, "But don't worry, I didn't die."
Oh, wow.
Okay. Anyway, but another very interesting thing is that actually we adopted him. And my wife was in Brazil at the time, and he was supposed to be born on April the 3rd. And he didn't come. He didn't, he wanted to stay in there. He was waiting to be born, which he was, on April the 10th, the date when Titanic left Southampton.
Oh, wow. That is eerie right there.
Yeah. But I mean, but now he's 24. But last summer we went to Belfast, where the Titanic was built, and they now have a fantastic exhibition there called the Titanic Experience. And we went there, and certainly worth seeing. And he came away, and when we were home, he showed me a photo. He said that was me. They had pictures. I mean, and he's now 24. So he said that was me. He said, and actually, I made a mistake. I did die.
Oh wow. Do you remember that? Like the first picture he showed and said, "Hey, that was me." When he was 24 and showed, "Hey, this was me." Was it the same picture? I mean, that you could remember?
No, because the picture he found was much more, was a much better photo of the person. Because it was just in the crowd. I mean, the pictures were. I mean, honestly, we didn't pay that much attention at the time, because this was, we kind of thought, okay, he's got this thing about the Titanic, and so fine, that was. I mean, as we are open even then. I mean, well, yeah, we were open to the idea, so it. We didn't really go and I could kick myself now. I mean, if that had happened now, I would have photographed the entire thing and filmed it and interviewed him and done the whole schmear, But we didn't.
Have you asked him any questions like how he died, and and what happened?
No, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. If he died on the Titanic, it was he was trapped in the third class compartment or in the water or whatever.
Yeah, that was so horrible too. There's some woman too. Yeah. It would claim that she was reincarnated and was on the Titanic too, and she was explaining a lot of it. But again, nowadays, because of the news media, a lot of people could read it and then kind of absorb it into their brain that happened to them. But I mean, I'll tell you, if for reincarnation, they would have been a lot of people, being reincarnated from that, because like the third class people, they actually had no way to get off the ship or anything, because they were all locked in. That's first thing they did is locked all the gates, and they were locked down there. So they drowned like rats. And I hate to say that. That's horrible thing that could ever happen to a human being. And I
Oh yeah. And I mean, and there are a lot of people, who claim to have been on the Titanic and suffered a horrible death in that way. And of course, as we said, that spontaneous recollections of past lives are very often associated with traumatic death. As I think, yes, it's supposed to be about 70%. So, as so many of them did have that awful demise, it's quite natural that there are a lot of them around.
I want to.
And there are also quite a lot of people, I think, now who are coming, who are born and who are talking about having died at 9/11.
Oh yeah, I've read that. I think Kevin has another question for you, Gordon. Go ahead, Kevin.
I want to say that I can relate to a little bit about this a little bit. Back in my kid years, I used to be obsessed with the Titanic. I'd be constantly like, "Oh, when are we going to put the Titanic movie on? When are we going to put the Titanic movie on?" And I'd constantly read newspapers, or I'd read newsletters about the Titanic. So I can relate to.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder about you too, Kevin, because I mean,
I'm 24 too, by the way.
And I'll be honest, we had it on a VHS tape or whatever it was back in them days, and I actually. This is the first time I will admit it. I actually destroyed the tape in such a way they couldn't play it anymore, because I would come home from work and guess what was playing every single night. Time over. I mean, they'd watch it. He would watch it till it was over, and then he would start again. And this went on for a long period of time where he was just obsessed with the Titanic. So I sometimes wonder if his soul was actually on the Titanic, because I just found it so, especially if I knew what I knew now back then, it probably would open my eyes a lot more.
Yeah, we can all say that.
Yeah. So, like I said, it got so bad. I one day came home and I kind of cut the tape in the middle of it and wound it back.
And I was wondering, where is it? And then we'd always go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or some video store like that. And I'd be like, "Hey, look, there's Titanic. Let's go pick it up." And my mom would be like, "No, never again."
Yeah, it just made me, looking at, too, after reading part of your book and from what you were saying, he was right in that age group, you know. Yeah, I mean, instead of watching cartoons, it was Titanic. You know.
Yeah.
Over.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely sure. And there's another aspect to this, which is also dealt with in the book, one of the appendices, and this is I don't know if it's exactly a hot topic, but it does explain people who have gender identity problems.
I didn't know that.
Well, when you think about it, you know, how many times do we hear people say, you know, people who have this, well, I don't say a problem anyway, who have this state of mind. You know, how often do we hear them say, "I was born into the wrong body"?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes you, you know, wonder, you know, that maybe in their past life they were a male or a female, and then, you know, and then they're born, and then they, you know, it could cause, I guess, it could cause a lifelong effect. Actually, I really think it could.
So you know, this explains all, you know, people, gender identity, people who want to change their sex, or homosexuality. You know, it's all perfectly well explained by that. And
well, think about the government experimentations way back then. How they would force gender reassignments. Government was not our governments, but some governments were part of that.
Well, you're talking probably back in the Nazi time where they were doing a lot of experimentation and stuff like that. So, yeah, you know, and again, too, I've talked to a guest that was claimed that they were experimented on in a Nazi prison camp during World War II. So, that was kind of eerie, and you know, I don't know. Gordon, I wonder how many times a person can be reincarnated or can come back. Do they get it right and then they're not reincarnated anymore? Or, I mean, I'm just wondering.
I don't think we have a set quota, you know.
No. How could you ever get it right, actually?
It's like money.
Well, no. You know, the evolutionary path, I mean, it isn't never ending, but I mean, it's a long way off for most of us, or for 99.999% of us. No, I think the thing is that we can't know, because if we could know what it was, you know, what there is at the end, then we wouldn't need to reincarnate anymore. So we can only understand really what it's all about at our particular level, at the particular place we are on the journey.
Just don't go with my idea.
This is why.
Sorry.
This is why, unfortunately, you know, you get religions who tell people, right, this is the way it is. It can't be any other way. If you don't believe what we're telling you, then you're going to go to the hot place. You know, this always irritates me, because I think almost, I mean, obviously it can't be, but, you know, I almost think that there should be as many religions in the world as there are people.
Yeah, or variations of it.
Because, you know, so many horrible things have been done in the name of religion. I mean, for goodness sake.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know. You know, that's where, you know, the paranormal. It's funny you said that too, because, you know, I'm sitting back every day. I look at where our fan base is, and it's big hunk of it is out of the UK for some reason. And then one day it kind of hit me. Why are the people in the UK, that many of them, listening to our show? And then it hit me one day, because we're paranormal, right? But what civilization can go back as far as in the UK. I mean, look how many generations and generations and generations it goes back. In the United States, how far can we go back? Not anywhere near what, like